We're live.
We're live?
We're live.
Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Adam, and I'm going to be talking to you about marketing for the next couple of minutes. I'm one of the co-founders of a marketing agency based in Portugal. We founded the company back in 2019. Myself got into crypto back in 2017. So I've been working full-time now in the space for the last 6 years. Since then, I worked with more than 300 projects, everything from the likes of ICP, Polkadot, Cardano, big ecosystems, helping them with getting more developers, for example, or attracting a retail audience, but also work with a lot of startup projects, helping them to navigate through all the noise and gain attention in the space and also build up their audience. Today's workshop is going to be focused mainly about how you can navigate the noise, how you can gain attention in this space where there's so many products coming every day. Without further ado, let's dive into it. What you can expect from today is why a strategy matters for your project. Common mistakes that normally projects do. Like I've been talking to maybe 1,000 different projects in discovery calls, and there's a lot of mistakes that can easily be avoided. So I'm going to give you some pointers and some tips so you easily can avoid this on your own without having to spend a lot of money on guidance and advisory. Just look at these tips that I give you and you can address them yourselves. What a strong go-to-market plan actually includes, what to think of, how to structure it, what is the most important thing, and then actionable tips you can use right away. And after the workshop, if you catch me and want my Telegram, I can also share some more guides on pre-TG go-to-market and how to grow as a founder in the space and so on. Have a lot of materials there for you if you're interested. So why marketing strategy matters. As a marketeer, I think it's very important with the marketing, of course. When we start working with any project, that's the first thing we start off. It's great to kind of align internally within the team. I've talked to a lot of founders and co-founders, and sometimes when they sit down together with us, maybe they don't have the same vision where the product is going, what should be the main focus. And this is to make sure the entire team is aligned and to make sure you're always working for the same end goal. One of the main things is you're focusing on too many audiences. When I sit down with a founder and ask them, okay, what is your primary audience that you're trying to attract? And I think 50% of the replies I get back is either Web2 or Web3 is our audience. And of course, that's the case, but you can narrow it down quite a lot. All of these is normally interested for a project, but in different type of stages for your project. So we see here developer and builders, customers and users, token speculators, VC angels, investors, tech partners, regulators and institutions, and listing partners, exchanges. What you need to figure out is what is the most important thing for me to focus on now? Is it to build up a user base? Okay, then I need to have a plan to, okay, how can I attract users? How do I talk to users? Where can I find users? How can I set up an incentive for users to come test out my product? If it's to VCs and angels and investors, okay, how can I visualize what I'm trying to build? Why it's matter? What is the product market fit? Why is this lacking right now in the market? So it's very important to break down, okay, what is my main goal at the moment? Which audience do I need to focus on? Because if you're trying to hit all of these at the same time, you're not really talking to anyone. So you need to make sure that you narrow it down. Okay, what is the most important thing for me to reach? What is going to generate more value for me at the moment? And really nail down your messaging to reach that audience. There's so much noise right now. I think for the last 2 years, the space has like massively accelerated with the amount of projects, with all of the memes coming around, with all of the base agents that has been coming around. So you can see here, there's more than 250 active layer ones at the moment, 17,000 different coins. I think it's even more than that, but that's what we gathered, and more than 1,250 exchanges. And a great example that I like to break down is exchanges. I think most of them have a very, very similar product. And the first mover always get the adoption, get the most users. But still, there are 1,250 exchanges that are competing for that liquidity. How have they managed to steal those users from other platforms? That we're going to dive into a little bit later. we're constantly between needing more infrastructure and needing more dApps. I think it's all about finding signal in a sea of noise and finding your edge against your competition. What I mean with that is, if we take an example, if there's a product that you're building and there's already something that is existing on the market, but your edge maybe is that you're one second faster or half a second faster, are the users going to care about that when you aren't as credible as the already existing competition to you? You need to make sure that you have an edge that cares for the user. If it's better user experience, if you have some sort of incentive for them to test out the product, you need to have something that gets people through the door. How can you make sure that they are going to take their time out of their day to test out you when they already have a solution? A great example for this, I don't know if anyone goes to the gym or has a membership somewhere, and they're opening up a new gym next door to that. You're just not going to cancel your current membership and try that out. No, they need to provide some sort of incentive for you to test them out. If it's 1 month for free, come and test out our gym for free for 1 month. There's no risk, there's only reward for you. You need to have something to get people through the door to navigate through that noise in the space. Common growth challenges for projects. Lack of clarity, unclear positioning, audience, or message. When I sit in meetings with founders, sometimes it can take maybe 10 minutes for them to explain what the product is, why it matters, and that should not be the case. They should be able in 20 seconds get me to understand the product, because how are they expecting users to go to their X page, for example, and find that information and understand it less than they can explain it themselves? So it's very important that you can be clear with what your product does to get people to understand it. And if you're a developer, always remember that you're mostly the smartest guy in the room, and you're talking to people that has less technical knowledge than you. You need to talk so they can understand it. They don't always care about how technical things is. They care about what you're solving for them. Think of who you're talking to and make that message clear to them. Inconsistent narrative. Different channels tells different stories. You are the source of your own narrative. You don't want the public to create a narrative or to think up a narrative. You're in charge of how people perceive your project. You're in charge of what to think of, how they understand it, and what is their first interaction with the project. No structured go-to-market plan. Launches feel ad hoc or rushed. Going back to the go-to-market, it's key to make sure that pre-launch, post-launch, everything like that has been thought of. Like right now, the meta, when it comes to like bigger projects, is a lot of high evaluation projects that launch with low float, and they do a lot of airdrop strategies using like popular platforms like Kaito and Cookie3, for example. What we've seen with most of those products is post-TG. There's a lot of dump, there's a lot of tokens that get dumped from content creators. That's an example that we are working quite a lot with at the moment to make sure that products think of the post-TG. How can they make sure that users are incentivized? There's also value for them to keep the tokens. For example, Kaito has themselves did this structure where they launched a lot of tokens to content creators. But still, if you hold the tokens and stake them, you're eligible for future airdrop for all the projects that launch on the platform. What means that Kaito succeeded with is generating revenue so they can give back to token holders. They can bring that value to the token itself. Low signal to noise ratio, struggling to cut through the noise. This is what I talked about earlier. If there's competition out there that has a similar product to you, make sure you find your edge so you can stand out. If it's just, some products just make it by being very, very fun and social on X, for example, with having a lot of interest, just playing around, engaging with people, kind of building that community online. There's a lot of ways to navigate and get attention, but it's important that you have a clear way that how you want to do it. Activity traction, social post updates or AMA not converting. Social media, I'm a big fan of X. I spend a lot of time on X. That's where half my days on X is checking around for projects, what they're doing, how they're structuring their go-to-markets, testing out products, for example. And the most important thing when it comes to social media posts, for example, is that it's not too autonomous. What I mean with that is a lot of products, they prepare a lot of content, just educating them about, educating their audience about the product over and over and over again. That doesn't give me a reason to click that follow button. It needs to be updates that gives me a reason to check in now and then, to check that follow button to make sure I'm interested in what's coming next. if it's an announcement, if it's a product update, if it's some sort of partnership, it needs to be giving, you need to give people a reason to click that follow button, not just educate them about the product. They should already know that if they're interested enough. Make sure your audience that is following you think they know your product. They want to know where you're heading. If they are a future investor, they don't care about where you are now. They care about where you are in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. What are you doing to reach those goals? What is your vision? Get them aligned on your vision. Sell the dream. Vanity metrics trap, growing followers, not users or community. Yeah, vanity metrics has been, it's a rough world to be a marketer with vanity metrics. There's a lot of other competition to ourselves that work a lot with vanity metrics. It's very easy to get results just by fake followers and so on, but that isn't as tangible anymore. No, now more product is going towards revenue first, users, real tangible results that you can show to your audience, to the people that cares about the product, future investors. That's the kind of metrics that matters. The solution I kind of went over is when I went through the different topics, like bring clarity to the chaos, make sure you have like the sniper approach is an internal saying we have at the office, make sure you have a clear knife that can cut through the noise, align product, community, and messaging, make sure you reach out, okay, who is my target audience, where do I find them, and how do I talk to them? Turn noise into narrative. What is the most like hottest narrative at the moment? Is that something that I can align with my product itself? When I'm building the product, it's sometimes hard to find the right narrative because it's changed so much, but make sure you have a clear narrative so people can understand what type of function you've followed in. Moves from building to traction. I think a big thing with a lot of building tech is that you start the exposure to the public too late. You can maybe build and build and build and build and wait till you have a fully functional product. And then it's when you start to think about exposure, start getting the product out there. This is something that I recommend normally to work simultaneously with your building the tech, because people care about the updates. When you do an update of the product, if there's some sort of testnet or something like that, where people can get a tangible feeling of a product and they can come with feedback, they feel more a part of the product itself. You want a community that feels part of what you're building, because if they bring some sort of feedback and you develop something based on their feedback, you will have someone that feels involved in the product in a way it's their product because they've been a part of it. In the end, I wrote a little bit like, think of go-to-market as your product's GPS. It doesn't just show where you are, it shows where you're going, which I think is key to think of. It's not just focus on what's right in front of you, focus on where you're heading. The simplest kind of thing to think of when it comes to go-to-market is why, how you're going to positioning, why do you exist? Who, audience clarity, what messaging, narrative, and story, how, channels, tactics, launch, roadmap, execution. We're going to dive down into each individual of these. I think these 4 pointers can help you quite a lot with your own go-to-market at a very, very early stage. So let's start with why. What's your differentiator? What makes you different? Why should people look at you? Are there any competition in the market? Or are you new in the market? Are you having groundbreaking tech? Then that's a great first thing for you, but then you also have to educate the audience of what you do. If there's any similar products out there, but you have an edge, make sure you highlight what makes you different. Why are you needed now? People understand pain points if you can talk to them in a way with something they've experienced. For example, Ledger, they talked about people that has been scammed or they had their wallet drained, for example. That's a great pain point. People can easily understand how Ledger provides solution so that doesn't happen to you. Similar to what banks have with the kind of boxes where you have to log into your bank, is a great way to get people to understand. I think that's a key thing to get people to understand why you exist. How are you different from others in your niche? It goes a little bit into the first point, but still you need to make sure that you are able to make them understand what makes you different. If it's a tech, or if it's a solution, or if it's a user experience, I think user experience is the most undervalued thing, which is coming in more into products right now, focusing more on the user experience. One product that I'm a big fan of is something called Infinix, and they mainly focus on user experience. That's the only thing that they've focused on and built everything around that. Why does this matter to your ideal user? Really break it down. Most likely you built this product because you felt a lack of this in the space, or you had a problem that you couldn't find a solution for, and you try to build something around it. Share your experience, why you built it, because if you've had that experience, most likely someone else had that experience online. It's all about getting people to feel why you exist. Who is your target audience? Is it developers, builders? Is it customers and users, tokens, speculators, VCs, angels, investors, tech partners, listening partners, regulators and institutions? Make sure you know who your target audience is. Otherwise, it's not going to matter, or you're going to waste a lot of time reaching the wrong audience and not really focusing on what matters. Break it down. Okay, who am I trying to reach? Okay, when you found this audience, where do I find them? Is it through PR? Is it through spaces? Is it through specific communities? Is it through content creators? How can I reach this audience? And how do I talk to them? I think that the last point there is the most important thing, because you have their attention for so small amount of time. People nowadays have like 0 to none attention span. How can you catch their attention with just one line, for example? Less is more in this space. Focus on how you can get as much information as possible with as low words as possible, and really narrow it down to what's the most important thing that message that I want to get across. What? Narrative, messaging, and story. Simple and sticky message. What problem do you solve? How do users benefit? Consistent tone across channels. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. If you break down these in a very, very simple way, and a clear way for all parties, it's going to help you quite a lot. Here's what we always do is we divide it up into phases when we set up a campaign. And normally these are different for each box you can see here. So campaign 1, when we have a specific target audience we want to reach, we have one type of messaging. When we move to campaign 2, we've most likely gone a little bit further in our progress. Okay, who are we talking to now? Is it VCs that I'm trying to reach now because I built up a little bit of audience? We have the traction, we have proof of concept, we can see the retail audience is interested. Now, okay, we focus a little bit more into the VC. Campaign 3, maybe then you're focusing on gearing up to TG. You've gained all of these partnerships and backers that you got in campaign 2. How can I get this message across in campaign 3? So simple, simple messaging. What problem do you solve? How do users benefit? And consistent tone across all of the channels. You can see here in the bottom, if your community, pitch deck, and social channels are telling different stories, you don't have a narrative, you have noise. Okay, how? Channels, tactics, and execution. Your distribution and execution engine. Go-to-market calendar and launch phases, social, PR, KOLs, partnership, feedback loops, iteration, and user and community onboarding. I think, like, I've been talking with a lot of developers throughout the years, for example, with working with big ecosystems, sometimes feel that marketing is normally not necessary, focus on building tech, and the users will come. But an analogy I like to play around with then is, for example, if it's a restaurant, you have the best food in the entire world, but no one knows about it, okay? How are people going to know that you have the best food in the world? So you need to make sure you have the right distribution to get people through the door. And then when they leave the restaurant, they're able to spread the word around. So go-to-market calendar, make sure you have a nice launch roadmap for all of the stages that is necessary in your roadmap. Content strategy, set up a content calendar. You should have some content pieces that is clear on how you want to get the word out there. One thing that I like is something called the breadcrumb strategy. You don't want to give out everything all at once. People love to speculate. Speculate creates to curiosity, and curiosity online is normally one of the best ways to kind of create excitement. So for example, when a product is, they have confirmed, for example, where they're going to list, or an exchange, for example, which is normally a great accelerator for any project, but they don't directly say which exchange they're listing on. They leave it for the community to speculate. Then, for example, okay, is it Binance? Is it Kraken? And that kind of speculation can create a lot of rumors, discussion online, and people don't want to miss out. Growth tactics, example, reply and engagement. Building community, like if you take it back maybe 3 years, the main kind of community platform was Telegram and Discord. I feel it's evolved a little bit, and we kind of recommend people to build that community on X instead, or at least the first point of contact. Of course, you can still have your Telegrams and Discords, but the problem with those is the community is closed. There's no distribution of the discussions. You kind of have to join Discord and join a Telegram to be a part of the discussion. If you instead have that online on X, you can get a lot more reach, a lot more participation, and the distribution as well. Reply guys is something that is quite big now from product as well. They have a lot of interns that are engaging and chatting and just having fun online, which a lot of projects or retail users, me included, have a lot of fun with engaging with them. You kind of feel involved, you kind of feel like a big happy family on X. Incentive strategies, XP leaderboards, airdrops, and quests. I think the biggest ones now are like Kaito, Seat, Cookie3, Wallchain as well. And a lot of projects, big projects are leaning towards those, but that can also be the downfall for a project. I think you need to have a good post-TG plan before you start thinking about those, because it's going to be a lot of tokens that get distributed to content creators, for example. And if that kind of sell pressure isn't taken care of when you have your TG, then it can be kind of hard to recover for that. Because if you're down 50% post-TG, that can be the downfall for any project. So you need to make sure that you have the right incentive strategies post-TG as well. Sometimes you can just be too focused on your TG. We need to make sure that we have a big launch, we get a lot of attention, and the token flies on launch. But if it flies and then it goes down 70%, you're going to have a lot of holders that are not very happy. And that can be quite costly to take back after that. So you need to make sure that you have a good, if it's a lineup of things that is going to happen, if it's incentive for people to hold, LP, stake, whatever it might be, you're going to get the attention pre-TG. You need to make sure you can keep that attention and keep that momentum post-TG. Co-marketing, amplify content, announcement, and collaborations. Partnering up with other projects and is one of the best way to get credibility. If you're a little bit smaller project and get the credibility from a partnership from a well-established one, that's going to help you quite a lot. And if your products solve something for them, you're going to get new curiosity from their audience. So co-marketing is something I always recommend. There's not always something that we as a marketing agency can provide. We can do the introductions, but then as a founder, you need to be the one that make it happen. A big portion of marketing is coordination and execution skills. Let's see. Okay. Tactical wins you can use right now and focus on stuff that doesn't scale. Optimize your X profile, pin value, show clarity and different traffic. The X profile needs to be super clear. It's normally the first point of contact. If you, for example, run a campaign with content creators and you navigate them to your X page, they need to feel welcome. They need to understand everything that happens to them when they get to the X page, and that you have updates in the recent post has to have some sort of value that they feel, okay, this is good post. I click the follow button to make sure I don't miss up on future updates. Founder-led marketing, real faces, brand noise. You don't always invest in the tech and the user experience of the product. The founders can be like equally important. Look at like Binance, for example, with CC. Yes, he is a big KOL for them as well. And people that love him, there's some people that hate him as well. But he's still a public figure and people trust him or not. But the people that trust him invest in him also as a person. So if you have a brand, you're planning to be doxed, focus on founder-led marketing. I also have a guide that I can share with you afterwards if you're interested in founder-led marketing. But it's great, for example, if you're going to do a content creator campaign where they can talk about how you've been highlighted in an interview, and you can share your story, you can share your vision as well, because that vision is more important than you think. People care about what you're trying to solve, what you're trying to build. Super fan outreach. You onboard your first 100 to 200 dedicated users. Personally embrace it. If you really embrace the first people that get into the product and make sure they feel taken care of, they feel heard. I think feeling heard is key. If you can give them some sort of value or make sure that their voice, or if they share feedback or anything like that, show them like confirmation that you've heard them, that you understand what they're trying to say, and make them feel part of what you're trying to build. Because then instead of having community members that are just waiting for an update, you're going to have super fans that wants the best for the product itself. Smart follower networking, connect with aligned voices, leverage their credibility. So this is something we talk about quite a lot when we do marketing nowadays. We don't really focus on vanity metrics. Anyone can have 100,000 followers on X just by paying a few bucks to a provider. What we focus on is smart followers. So all these different tools have different way to track the quality of the followers. So make sure that you can align with partners that has good amount of smart followers. That's normally done through cross-marketing, getting brand ambassadors for your project that has good amount of smart followers. And when they distribute content to their audience and show that they care, you're going to grow smart followers on your account as well. Smart utilizing of a GTM, go-to-market calendar. Most of marketing is coordination. Yeah, make sure you have a good go-to-market strategy. Why? Because normally when you go to market, you kind of are like a horse with blinders. You just focus on the next problem that is right in front of you. You want to have like a 3-month plan, 6-month plan, 12-month plan, and everything you do is leading toward that goal you have in 12 months. You're never going to reach that goal, because when you reach that 12 months later, you're going to have a new goal that is 12 months away. But you always have something you're working towards, and your team is aligned. If you have cleared everything up, you have a good skeleton to kind of fall back on, and you know that the team is working towards the same goal. Yeah, that was it, what I had. This is a little bit what we work with. So as a marketing agency, we work a lot with KOL marketing. KOL marketing has changed quite a lot throughout the years. If you look back maybe 4 years or 3 years, one post from a content creator or KOL could make your token 10x or 100x, but that's not the case anymore. Most of the KOLs have diluted their audience. They talk about, like some KOLs, they talk about 60 plus projects in a month. So how can you believe they have any more trust in the space anymore? So we work a lot with smaller content creators that are new, they're hungry, they're still trying to provide value and kind of find their own voice in the space, which we've seen much greater CPM in the space. Social media growth is also one of our services to make sure that the social media, mainly X, is able to onboard and capture an audience. PR to help projects build up the thought leader and founders, and also the partnership announcement and everything like that. GTM strategy, of course, that's been the main topic of today. Marketing advisory to help projects with how to navigate, make an introduction to partners, exchanges, whatever is necessary for that project at the time. Design studio to have nice content for announcements, updates, partnerships, podcasts on X Spaces, and events. So what's the time? So that was the presentation I had prepared. Is there any maybe questions from the audience of what we talked about for the last minutes? Yes?
So I was wondering, in all the marketing activities, what's the ratio of organic activity versus paid? Because, I mean, you can get quite a lot of reach and pretty fast feedback just for running ads on the platform. So, like, in your strategies, do you use both channels? And if yes, what would be the ratio when it comes to effort?
Yeah, so when we talk about paid marketing, what we mainly want to have is kind of like an accelerator. You shouldn't kind of completely trust and not like completely rely on paid marketing, because that's going to be very costly for a longer period of time. So we want to have that kind of like a snowball effect, so they get the ball rolling and then organically it's able to grow. But a lot of projects do it also kind of on a lower scale at the same time to kind of keep a narrative being pushed. For example, if you have like content creator ambassadors that you work with, to have like they are able to distribute a narrative online socially, But to answer your question directly, it's a good mix. You should never completely rely on paid marketing. Always try to build up an organic growth strategy. But normally paid marketing is great to kind of get the word out there and get the distribution.
Do you have any clients that rely only on organic marketing activities?
Yeah, we have those as well. A lot of like organic PR is a great strategy as well. Like social media strategy growth as well. Of course, it takes a little bit longer time, but in the end, it's the organic growth that really gives the value. So if you have a great kind of story, you have a great product, it's much easier also to get that out there. Yeah, of course. Any more questions? Yeah?
Yeah, so we're in a hackathon here, right?
Yeah.
So most projects are very early stage and pre-launch.
Yeah.
Yet it's really about showing traction, showing they can potentially acquire tons of users.
Yeah.
What marketing hacks would you recommend to this audience?
So I would say to get in users is to find the value for the users to get them through the door, because people are not just testing things out always for the good of their hearts. They need to see if there's a value for them as well. So have a good plan to get people involved early. If it's to get in users, okay, what would be the beneficial factor for me as a tester to test out the product, for example? And also, yeah, like to answer the question directly, it's incentive strategy is the best way to get people through the door, to have some sort of incentive for users to come and test out the product. When it comes to growth for early stage projects, it completely depends on where you are in development stage. If it's not developed already, then you need to have partnerships announcements is great, because then you get the exposure and credibility of that is actually something tangible. Too many people don't want to show interest in the product too early, because there's been so many products that just have a white paper, and maybe 2021 it was a white paper that people invested in. You could have a pre-TG with just a white paper. So as soon as you can get something tangible, you can start generating revenue and start getting users through the door and get those numbers out there. That's how I would like pre-TG focus on getting in users, getting in revenue, because that's the numbers that matters now. Okay, cool. If there's anyone that wants to participate and have a project, maybe they have an X page set up and don't are afraid to publicly go through it together with me, we can do it now on the page. Otherwise, I will be sitting in one of the rooms over here for one-on-one sessions. We can go brainstorm a little bit and start planning some pointers that you can think of with your go-to-market plan. So yeah. Anyone that has a product that they want to share with the rest of us? No, I don't. Yeah, cool. Too early stage. No, if someone has, for example, an X page or a website already set up, they want to have feedback, we can go through it together and see if there's any like quick pointers when it comes to maybe messaging. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but we can do it one-on-one then. I thought it could be a good kind of, yeah. Sorry? You have an X page? Yeah, let's go check it out then. The name? This one? Okay, cool. Welcome to the agentic creator economy. Create and monetize. So first, like feedback I can get here is like, I don't get completely what the product is, right? This could be a great way in the beginning, like when you have a more established brand, to have but it's very important because this is the first thing I see, right? You want to catch my attention. So maybe it's a banner, for example, here that has some like show a quick like overview of how the tech works, or partnerships, or anything that catch my attention. And when it comes to the social media content, this is really cool. I really like it. a quick kind of thing that a lot of early stage project is doing. They're using a lot of hashtags and emojis and stuff like that. You want to stay clear of that. Hashtag doesn't work. Elon Musk hates hashtags, so you don't want to use them. And these kind of teasers is normally great. A lot of products are doing these kind of 80%, 70% when they're leading up.
Now, may I ask you something specific?
Yeah, shoot.
What's the ROI for villainizing yourself? as a
Sorry?
brand? What's the ROI for villainizing yourself as a brand?
Like villainizing you.
About CZ, right? CZ is like
Yeah.
a very polarizing person. Like I was thinking, like maybe long term could be not a good idea, but how to break into the noise as a newcomer. I thought maybe villainizing yourself, like rage baiting the other platforms, right?
Yeah.
What the ROI there is that an actually valid strategy, or like it's something that long term is not a good idea?
Can you always repeat the question so people on the stream know what's been asked? Because
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So the question I thieves just having so crazy